This is our second video on our lesson in solving two-step and multi-step equations. I have put in our equation solving procedure as a reference throughout this video. And we're going to go to the first problem. Solve 8x plus 7 minus 10x is equal to 10 plus 3x plus 12. Now if we look back at our steps, number one is remove parentheses. We don't have any parentheses, but then we can combine like terms on each side. So that's what we're going to start with, is combining like terms on each side, as you can see. So what are like terms? Like terms are variables that are the same or constants that are the same. The x here, that's a variable. Like if it's just 7 with no variable attached, that's called a constant. So 7 is a constant, 10 is a constant, and 12 is a constant. So on our left-hand side, what do we have for like terms? We have an 8x and a negative 10x. And on our right side, we have a 10 and a 12. Those two are constants, and they are like terms. So I'm going to put my 8x and my negative 10x together. I'm going to get a negative 2x. On my right side, I'm going to have 10 plus 12, and I will have a 22. Now when we're combining like terms, be careful you watch the signs. This is a positive 8x, and this is a negative 10x. And these are both positive. So that leaves me with 7 minus 2x is equal to 3x plus 22. Our second step is going to be to add or subtract as needed to get all variable terms on one side and all constant terms on the other. Then combine like terms. So I'm going to get all my variable terms on one side, and I'm going to put all my variables on the left-hand side. It doesn't matter. You can do it either way as long as you follow the right steps. In this case, I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides so that I can have all my variable terms on the left-hand side. When I do that, 3x minus 3x, these are going to cancel out. And then I'm going to be left with negative 2x minus 3x, which will give me a negative 5x. I'm going to bring everything else down. So 7 minus 5x is equal to 22. I'm still working on this add or subtract step because now I'm going to get all my constant terms on one side. And I have a 7 left over here. So I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides because this is a positive 7. I know this is a negative 5x, but it's a positive 7. So when I do that, we'll have negative 5x is, oh, these will cancel out, sorry. And then we'll have a negative 5x is equal to 15. Now my next step is going to be to multiply or divide to solve for the variable, since I have all my constants on one side and all my variables on the other. So when I do that, I'm going to divide by a negative 5, and you can't forget your negative sign again. You've got to make sure you really watch out for those, because that's where most of the mistakes happen, is when we miss a negative sign, or we don't always have positive or something. So I divide by negative 5 on both sides. These cancel out, and then I'm left with x is equal to a negative 3. Our next one, 20x minus 8 times x plus 2 is equal to negative 28. Here we have one with parentheses finally. So our first step is going to be to remove parentheses by using the distributive property. When I am distributing, I have a negative 8 here. I need to distribute my negative and my 8. So I'm going to put negative 8 to x, so I get negative 8x, and I'm going to distribute negative 8 to this positive 2 and end up with negative 16. Now I want to combine my like terms on each side. Over here we have a 20x minus 8x. Those are like terms. So that will give me 12x minus 16 is equal to negative 28. That's all the like terms we have on either side now. Our third step is to add or subtract as needed to get all of our variable steps on each side and all of our constants on the other, just like before. I'm going to have my variable on the left-hand side, and I want all my constants over here. I'm going to add 16 to both sides. And when I do that, I'm going to end up with 12x is equal to negative 12. Our next step is going to be multiply or divide to solve for our variable. So this should be our last step that you have to do then. I'm going to divide by 12 on both sides, so I have a 12 times x. Do the inverse operation of that. Divide by 12, and remember that this is a negative 12 now. So negative 12 divided by 12 is going to give me x is equal to negative 1. Our last example of this is solve if 3a plus 12 is equal to 30, then find the value of a plus 4. So we have two different steps we have to go through here. Step 1, find the value of a. We have 3a plus 12 is equal to 30. This is pretty simple. It's what you guys have been doing. So I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides so I can get all my variables and constants on one side. Subtract 12 from both sides. These will cancel out. 30 minus 12 is equal to 18. 3a equals 18. I want to get a by itself. So I'm going to 3 times a. I'm going to do the inverse. I'm going to divide by 3. Oops, can't talk. Divide by 3. These two cancel out. A is equal to 6. So for our second step, now this says find the value of a plus 4. So all you have to do, we found a. All we're going to have to do is add 4. So we have a plus 4. A can be replaced by 6 now because we know that a is equal to 6. A plus 4, or 6 plus 4, and our answer is be 10. This is 10 is equal to a plus 4.